Hello guys, in today's video we're going to be installing and taking a look at Windows 10s, a short-lived edition of Windows 10 released in 2017. Intended for low-cost education devices, a market dominated by Chrome OS, Windows 10s only ran apps from the Microsoft Store and came with features oriented towards school administrators. Windows 10s would eventually be discontinued with the release of Windows 10 version 18.03 in April 2018, in which it would be replaced with S mode, which was a mode that any edition of Windows 10 could be installed in. Anyway, with that explanation out of the way, let's get on with the installation. Okay, so as usual, we're going to create a new virtual machine here in VMware Workstation. And we're going to select Windows 10 x64 as the operating system and call this Windows 10s. Now, 32GB disk should be okay for what we're doing today, and I'll just add the ISO image in here as well that I've downloaded from OOBE dump. And now we are jumping into the installation, and this installation process is just going to be pretty much the same as for any other Windows 10 install. From that area, we've just got the same installer we're used to using. See, I don't have a product key right now because I don't have a Windows 10s product key. We're just going to be evaluating it. Accept the license agreement and install on the unallocated space. Okay, so while this completes, since there is nothing to really see here, I'll go away for a minute and then I'll come back when this is done and we've booted up to the out-of-box experience.
Hi there. I'm Cortana, and I'm here to help. A little sign in here.
And we have just booted into the out-of-box experience, and you'll see here we have the Cortana version of the Windows 10 out-of-box experience, which was in use back around 2017. Once she finishes talking, we should be able to complete this. And you'll see it is pretty much just the same as it always was. I'll look for some updates quickly. And with that out of the way, we now get to this account setup page. Now I believe we can log in here with a normal local account. Interestingly, if you set up for an organization, you can't join Windows 10s devices to a local Active Directory domain. You have to use Azure Active Directory, or I think it's now referred to as Microsoft Entra ID. But if we set up for personal use, I think we can probably make a local account. It's just going to be a bit convoluted to do it. Okay, so I have now been able to get into the page where it seems it's going to let us set up a local account here. So let's type in this here quickly, leave the password blank, and then just turn off all of these settings. Not that it really matters because I'm not going to be using this VM as like my serious computer or anything. Okay, we are now at the desktop. Now, usually at this point I would install VMware tools. However, we can't do that on this operating system because, again, it only allows you to run apps from the Microsoft Store, and the VMware tools installation disk has an executable on it that it just won't open. And to demonstrate this, I can actually try it right now. Have it insert a VMware tools disk here. Go in here, and if we double click on this, you'll see for security and performance, this mode of Windows only runs verified apps from the store. we can try and go into it, we can try and double click the setup executable, but it will not run. So this means, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to install the proper graphics drivers on this, so the graphics aren't going to look quite as good as usual. We also see as well that we've got a different wallpaper from the usual Windows 10 wallpaper, and we have this kind of stylized one here. Now, of course, since this edition of Windows 10 can only run apps from the Microsoft Store or apps which came pre-installed with the operating system, the only web browser that's available is Microsoft Edge. And interestingly, Microsoft even went so far with Microsoft Edge as to limit the default search engine to Bing. Now, these days, if you look in the Microsoft Store app, you can see third-party browsers being offered for download there, such as Firefox and Brave. However, back when Windows 10s was released in 2017, that was not the case. And even today, these third-party browsers could not be installed on a Windows 10s machine or a machine that is in S mode. Nonetheless, we will see if we open Microsoft Edge that we are immediately prompted with a download link to download the new Microsoft Edge. And interestingly, if we click through and download that, we'll see that the downloaded executable actually runs. And if we go in here, we can go to help and feedback and about. You can see that we are on the latest version of Microsoft Edge here. But we can go and try and download Firefox. Click on this and we'll see that it does not work. So Microsoft Edge certainly has a special exception. Now, another weird thing about Windows 10s is that you also can't open the command prompt or Windows PowerShell or the registry editor. You'll see here if we try and open the command prompt, if we go and open a run box and type cmd, it doesn't let us open it, just showing us the same error that we'd see if we tried to launch an executable. We'll also see again if we search for PowerShell in the start menu, it doesn't come up. And if we try to run regedit, we see again that same error. Now, when I first installed Windows 10s, I actually noticed that the Microsoft Store wasn't working either. It was clearly just too old a version. So I managed to update the Microsoft Store by downloading a newer Apex bundle file from this website that's operated by the same people as UUP dump, where I downloaded this Windows 10 ISO from. And while I did get the Microsoft Store to open and display a list of apps, I even managed to install updates. This latest version of the Microsoft Store that works on Windows 10 1709 does not work properly. We can see here is an error message at the top telling us that we need to update Windows to use the store. So with the Microsoft Store being the only real source of apps on Windows 10s, it obviously makes this operating system quite useless at this point, that we can't even really use the Microsoft Store to install new apps. Anyway, that's it for today's video. If there's anything else you'd like to see covered on the channel, or you have any questions, please leave a comment down below. If you liked the video, leave a like, and I hope to see you back in the next video.